Georgi Dimitrov from the Fusion Motorsports team. Georgi joining the championship last time out at Salbris and finishing 13th in the final. Georgi, from a Bulgarian family, settled now and living in Manchester, England. And Georgi will be starting the biggest race of his career so far from pole position. And he's thinking to himself, well, the championship is still there. I've dropped my one round at Genk because I wasn't there. What can I do? Just score as many points as possible, and who knows what will happen come the end of the season. So he starts from pole position. Alongside him on his front row, we had another driver new to the championship this weekend, Sean Butcher from the Mick Barrett racing team. And you can see via his crash helmet that while Sean lives in London, he has Australian parentage. And his dad, Mark, would literally come into the commentary box and beat me over the head with a large stick if I didn't mention that Sean's Australian roots are still prevalent on his kart and flag. And what a debut it's been from Sean Butcher, who was a very successful cadet racer and then took 2 years out of the sport to reignite his passion, as it were. He starts on the outside of row one. Row number two, one of the revelations of the season so far, Evan Spanley. Again, racing on a British license because he's based in the UK, but he is from France in the number 33 Fusion Motorsport kart and has raced in France all his career up until the start of this season, where he now bases himself in the UK. He starts third, and Evan comes into this weekend fourth in the championship. On the outside of row number two, from Glasgow in Scotland, it's Angus Mooresdale, the winner last time out at Salbris in France. Second in the championship, and of course with Chris Lullum, the championship leader, missing this round, Mooresdale needs to score maximum points so that he can drop his score from Genk and close right in when Lullum returns to Castelletto next month. And quickly, we'll play a quick game of kart mechanic bingo, and Angus Mooresdale's mechanic gets 5 out of 6. You've got the earpiece, you've got the radio, not quite round by his bum on his side. You've got the t-shirt that is tight with the Synergy on it. You've got the shorts above the knee with a tight bottom, and then some very expensive running trainers. That is all he's missing, is the apron with the team logo on it. So that's 5 out of 6. Well, 4.5. If he needs to move his radio, which is a little bit further back round to the rear. Perfect. There we go. 5 out of 6. Element of kart mechanics. Okay, and now moving back to the drivers, there is the number 51 kart, Greece's Dionysis Liveris for the Jan Darms racing team, and he is making his championship debut this weekend. And what a fantastic drive from Dionysis in the pre-final. Some very, very fast laps when the track was at its wettest. And the conditions for the junior final this morning were absolutely atrocious. There we go, Dionysus, say hello. Hello. And getting a shake of the hands there. Very sporting gesture from some of his rivals. And of course, these drivers, intensely competitive, on track, but quite friendly most of the time off it. So that's the inside of row 3. Kai Aski, youngest driver in the field, 11 years old. Started the pre-final from pole position. Finished prior to a nose cone penalty right up there in amongst it. But Kai, he is starting on the outside of row 3. His mechanic, Joe Bullen, just checking, oh, how many points am I scoring in mechanics bingo? Not as many as the other Fusion mechanic is the answer. And so he will start on the outside of row 3, kart number 15 for the Fusion team. On the inside of row number 4, Enzo Juli, the Frenchman driving for the CBK team, enters this weekend third in the championship. 2 top 5 finishes in the finals so far. The 13-year-old from Montpellier, and Enzo will start from P5. P7 rather. On the outside of row 4 from Belgium, a newcomer this weekend, we just saw him shaking hands with Dionysis Liveris. That is Luca Listra from the number 55 Bouvin Power team. And Luca, very impressive so far on his X30 Euro Series debut. Moving on to the 5th row, another driver we saw in the Winter Cup earlier this year, but making his main championship debut. That is Axel Moss, the direct alarm-backed driver for the Kids to Win team, driving kart number 21. And Axel will start 9th on the grid. Rounding out the top 10, one of the championship regulars, the driver that enters this weekend 6th in the point standings, driving kart 12 for the HTP Kart Academy. It is Dutchman Senna Eckers. And Senna has had a consistent weekend, scored some decent points in the pre-final, now trying to get back into the top 5 in the championship standings in this next race. Row number 11, and one of the best performances of all in the pre-finals from this young man, driving kart 24, Denmark's Daniel Trager, now finding home with the Jan Darms racing team. And Dan Trager, mainly as a privateer, now with the Jan Darms team. Enzo Scionti in kart number 57, another of the American drivers for the Fusion team. Enzo will start on the outside of row 6 in grid number 12. On row 7, we have the number 40 kart, Christian Wilken. Christian, young German driver on the X-Spirit chassis. We saw Christian at Genk at the start of the season. And then on the outside of row 7, the Mad Croc kart of Britain's Alexander Walker in number 25, the Mad Croc Promotions entry from the UK. Row number 8, Delano Vanthoff, championship regular in the number 17 WJS Racing kart. And he's just seen his teammate Lawrence Van Hoppen finish 2nd in the Mini X30 race. And then alongside Delano, on the outside of row 8 from Italy, is Sara Tabacci. Welcome back to Sara after we saw her in Genk, the Bull Racing number 11. Then we move back to the drivers that had issues in the pre-final. Well, Garrett Harvick, the German driver for the RS Motorsport team, he lost a wheel and didn't finish the pre-final. He starts 17th. And then from 18th on back are the drivers that did not make it out for the pre-final. There was a mad scramble to change tyres. Some drivers didn't scramble fast enough. And starting 18th, the first of those drivers that didn't make the start was the number 27 of Norway's Simen Lilleholm. And then if you look at all that collection, there's Simen in kart number 27 for the LH karting team. And then the rest of the karts, you can see them all there, those red, white and blue karts. They are the 5 drivers from the M Sport karting team, none of whom made it out. Kaysen Gibson in the 50 was due to start 2nd in that pre-final. The 43 of Shihab Al-Habsi, the Omani driver, well, he finished on the podium in Salbris. And then we have Kuwait's Fahed Al-Khaled, the first Kuwaiti driver to ever race in the X30 Euro Series. He didn't make it out, neither did Casper Stevenson, you can see there in the 52, or Luca Griggs in the 56. Daniel Gregor, the back in kart number 77, and starting shotgun on the field, Luis Del Bart in kart number 112, who is actually 9th in the championship, that Rico-sponsored driver. He did not make it out either. So, as the engines are started, we've got some very quick drivers at the front, but we've then got some very quick drivers at the back as well. And will we see the likes of Kaysen Gibson and Shihab Al-Habsi coming through into the top 10? Will we see some of those drivers that had an outstanding run in the pre-final? Will we see them maintain their positions, or will we see them fall back? One thing is certain, though, is that Dimitrov, Butcher, Spanley, Moolsdale and Askey are all there because they have been there in the top 5 and are there or thereabouts all weekend. Now, out of my commentary box window, I can see that somebody has had a moment and has gone for a quick spin on the first rolling lap. We'll try and find out who that is. It was Alex Walker in the number 25 kart that had a brief off-track excursion. And whilst Alex scrambles to catch the rest of the field, I will take a glance out of the commentary box window, and without wanting to alarm anybody, there are some rather ominous, nay I say full-looking clouds heading our way. Now we've got 15 laps of the Junior X30 final to get through. Then we will have the build-up to the 19-lap Senior X30 final. I'm told that we were expecting rain at 2 o'clock local time. Well, it is now just approaching 1:30 local time. Sorry, we're expecting, yes, 2:30 local time. It's now 2 o'clock local time. Well, will we get a dry racing? Here we go then. To the line. We are off and racing. 15 laps through the first couple of corners. It's a good start from Dimitrov. He runs a little bit wide through turn number 2. Opens the door for Evan Spanley, but then scrambles across at turn 3 to ensure that he stays in line. And we get all 25 drivers through turn 3 and turn 4 cleanly, with Dimitrov up into the lead, or back into the lead. Spanley up to second. And they're trying to pull away, and then a big pile up behind. Yellow flags waving frantically at turn number 5. The leaders all got through cleanly, but behind them there was a huge pile up, and I'm looking back, we'll see to name check, there may be 10, 12 karts all out of contention, and we're down to about a group of 15 at the front. You can see on your screen how the field at the front has shrunk. It's Dimitrov, pushed along by Spanley, and in third place, oh my goodness, in third place, Dionysis Liveris getting shoved through turn 1 by Sean Butcher, and Butcher unsettled Liveris there, and Liveris had a tank slapper going on through the flat out turn 1 session. He managed to hold on to it. He's come out in 4th place, and that was a frightening moment because the cameras caught Liveris facing the barriers at full speed. He somehow caught it, and I think that was just Sean Butcher trying to push him on too hard, and he gets his own back there by retaking 3rd place. Enzo Giuli is next in line. Where is Angus Morsdale? He's about 6th at the moment. Up at the front. Change at the front. Butcher passing Spanley. So Dimitrov has fallen back. Butcher and Spanley. Then it is Liveris. Dimitrov is 4th. Followed by Giuli. Then Morsdale. Askey. Into the pits comes the number 24. Oh, Dan Trager's race is over. Luca Griggs has retired on the opening lap. Terrible end of the weekend for Lucas. And I'm looking down, who got caught up there at the start? Well, Casper Stevenson, Fahed Al-Khaled, Simon Lilleholm, Alex Walker, Daniel Gregor, Sarah Tabacci. So it was the second half of the field, and I wonder if that had something to do, as we have a change of the lead. Spanley back in front of Butcher now as we start lap 4. And I wonder if there was a case of some fast drivers starting at the back and getting a little bit impatient up at the first couple of corners, and the result was a multiple kart pile-up. Looking down, well, we've got Shihab Al-Habsi is up to 9th, so he managed to come through it unscathed. And Kaysen Gibson runs 13th. So he managed to emerge unscathed as well. Kai Askey on a quick lap. It's Spanley leading from Butcher 2nd. Then Dionysis Liveris in 3rd. Poleman, Georgi Dimitrov in 4th. With Morsdale and Askey 5th and 6th. Giuli right there in 7th. Lucas Listra in 8th. Then it's Al-Habsi in the lead group in 9th. As Dimitrov passes Liveris for 3rd position. We've got A black flag going out for Alexander Walker, and I wonder if that is for retaking his grid position after the red line, which means if you are not in your grid position by that red line, which is signified by marshals on the back straight, you are not permitted to take your place to start. You have to start at the back. I wonder if Walker contravened that regulation, and he is now being disqualified, sadly, as Sean Butcher takes the race lead. Once again, Evan Spanley slips back to second. They have been caught by Georgi Dimitrov. The poleman, after losing a few places on the opening lap, is back into third place and is back right with the leaders. Liveris is fourth, Mooresdale fifth, Askey sixth, then Julie, Listra, Al-Habsi, Garrett Hartvig is 10th. Then it's Eckers, Kaysen Gibson 12th. 13th is Delano Vanthoff. Then Christian Wilkin, Axel Moss, Casper Stevenson, Simon Lillyholm, and Fahed Al-Khaled. The Kuwaiti driver is 18th. Sarah Tabachi is 19th, with Daniel Gregor rounding out the top 20. Dimitrov passing Spanley for second place. Gives Spanley, oh, and there's a problem further back, and that's somebody going off with their NASA panel high in the air. And they're none too pleased about that either. I think that might have been, well, we'll find out who it was a little bit later. Whoever it is, they're up and out of their cart, out of the race, but okay. And now Dimitrov closing in on Sean Butcher. Enzo Juli pressuring Kai Askey. There's Dionysius Liveris in the number 51 Jan Darm's cart. Liveris has got to try and push on now. He's getting passed there by Askey, gets him back straight away. He's in fifth position, and I think Kai Askey can see the top four breaking clear. We've got Butcher for the Mick Barrett racing team, and then three Fusion Motorsport drivers. The first of whom is Georgi Dimitrov, who passes Butcher going through the flat-out turn two. That was a brave move. Butcher quite sensibly left him room. Angus Mooresdale now moves on to the back of this lead quartet with a new fastest lap. The potential championship leader is in the lead group, and Butcher has got three teammates around him, and he knows that if they get a chance to muscle him out and shuffle him to the back of the pack, they will. There is the number 56 car of Luca Griggs, who is out. Luis Del Bart has retired. Dan Trager has retired. Christian Wilkin has gone off. We are down to just 20 drivers now. There's Spanley making the same move to Butcher that Dimitrov did a lap ago, and Mooresdale follows him through. So Butcher's back to fourth. The three Fusion drivers now run 1, 2 and 3. Kai Askey has got past Dionysius Liveris, moved into fifth position, and has just set the fastest lap and tries to close the gap to make it a 5-cart train at the front. And he's actually making a good job of it as well. We're on lap 9 out of 15, and Askey is closing in on the top 4. Well, what does Sean Butcher do? Does he try and work with Angus Mooresdale? But he knows Mooresdale is going to try and get to the front. So does Butcher try and work with the Scotsman, or does he try and battle? On to lap 10. Askey again, quicker than the front 4. Another new fast lap, 50.841 for Kai. And you can see the number 15 car closing in. We've got another driver pulling in to retire. Oh, and further back, Dionysius Liveris is really now fighting a rear guard action. He's got Shihab Al-Habsi behind him in 7th place. So it's Liveris in 6th, Al-Habsi in 7th, 8th for Listra, 9th for Enzo Juli, and Kaysen Gibson is 10th at the back of that train. But here is the race leader coming up over the crest, Georgi Dimitrov. There's Liveris going through the screens now with a whole pack behind him. And it was Norway's Simon Lillyholm retiring. We're down to 19 runners now. The top 5 virtually nose to tail. Then it's Liveris holding off Al-Habsi in the 43. Then it's Listra in the 55. Julie in the 19. And behind Enzo Julie, Kaysen Gibson, Garrett Harvick. Back to 11th place before the field spreads out. Back to Senna Eckers as Sean Butcher starts picking off the Fusion drivers one by one again. He's gone past Moolsdale. He now goes past Spanley. Or actually, I think Moolsdale has got past Spanley, and so has Butcher. So Butcher's back into 3rd place on the podium, but with the winner from Salbris right behind him, and the driver that won 2 races out of 3 yesterday, Kayaski, bearing down as well. Evan Spanley in the number 33 will try and push Butcher back up to his teammate. We're on lap number 12 out of 15. Dimitrov leads by 0.3 of a second. Through turn 7 come the leaders. Moolsdale in the number 23. Dimitrov in the number 1, 2, 3. Through turn 10, up over the crest. The top 5, then a gap, back to the huge 6th place battle, still being led by Dionysis Liveris. And though Liveris now under pressure, Luc Listra, the Belgian driver, has got through, and Liveris about to get attacked by Shihab Al-Habsi, but Al-Habsi gets shuffled wide, but here comes Kaysen Gibson. So Gibson in the M Sport number 50. He's trying to move up as best he can. Now we're on lap number 13. Behind Gibson and Al-Habsi is Julie, who's dropping back a little bit. Garrett Harvick and Senna Eckers. Dilano Vanthoff in 13th is next. Then it's Casper Stevenson, Axel Moss, Daniel Gregor, Sara Tabacci, Fahed Al-Khaled and Enzo Schianti are the only other drivers still running. Here's your race leader though. As we start lap number 14, it's Dimitrov, Moolsdale, Butcher, Spanley and Askey, all in a line. Further back, there's Shihab Al-Habsi, and there's a problem behind Al-Habsi, and that is Senna Eckers vaulting up over the back of one of the M Sport carts, and that is Al-Habsi getting, Senna Eckers just misjudging the braking point. Al-Habsi carries on, hopefully without too much damage, though he has lost a few places. Back to the lead battle. Moolsdale now just 0.2 behind Dimitrov. Butcher is there as well. They go into turn 11, and the next time they come across the line, they will see the board that says laps to go, 1. We are on the final lap. Dimitrov, Moolsdale and Butcher, the top 3. Spanley and Askey trying to get on the podium. Dimitrov defends into turn 3. Moolsdale goes round the outside. Butcher has nowhere to go, gets slowed down a little bit, and if he's not careful, Spanley's going to try and get around the outside of him. But it's Dimitrov through turn number 5 now, and turn 6, who still leads. Now into turn 7 S's. Can Moolsdale set him up through the next 2 corners? Dimitrov's got to be careful. Moolsdale has a little look. Butcher defends for 3rd behind. Spanley and Askey 4th and 5th. 2 corners to go. Dimitrov still leads. Moolsdale 2nd. Butcher defending for 3rd. Dimitrov, 1 corner to go. Drives in very deep. Here comes Moolsdale. It's a drag race. Oh my word. I think Dimitrov got it by 2 thousandths. Dimitrov hangs on by 2 thousandths of a second. Moolsdale was coming, but Dimitrov got to the line first. Butcher does the same to Kayaski and Evan Spanley and holds on for 3rd place. Great result for the McBarrett Racing driver. And then Kayaski passes Evan Spanley on the last lap, on the last corner right virtually, to finish 4th. 5th for Evan Spanley, and then Luc Listra from Belgium takes 6th. Dionysis Liveris finishes in 7th. 8th was Kaysen Gibson from the back of the grid. Then Enzo Julie in 9th. Dilano Van't rounds out the top 10 ahead of Garrett Harvick and Casper Stevenson. Behind Casper Stevenson, Shahab Al-Habsi for 13th place, then Axel Moss, Senna Eckers, Daniel Gregor, Sarah Tabachi. Well, Fahad Al-Khaled from Kuwait finishes his first round of the X30 Euro Series, the first ever Kuwaiti driver to be representing his country here in the X30 Euro Series. He finishes 18th position, and I think that his family may be just outside the commentary box window, and they look very pleased, and so they should be. Enzo Schianti from America finishes 19th.